Well, howdy, folks. How's it going today? I hope you're all doing really good. Well, we're going to go through some random projects real quick. It's going to be quite a ride, so let's get right to it. Okie doke. Well, we're going to put this mandolin back together here. I've got pretty much everything ready to go. Now, what we got to do is glue one piece in right here that chipped out when I was removing the top. Unfortunate, but it happens. I still have the piece though, so we can get it back in there. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is put some glue on this brace here, right under the fretboard extension, while I have half of the top removed, just to make sure that brace is hooked to the underside of the top in good shape before we put the rest of this together. So I got to get those two things taken care of right now. I'm still trying to be very delicate with this inlay so I don't destroy it, but let's get some glue in here and we'll glue that piece in. We should be pretty much ready to put the top on. I'll do a dry run with some clamps and padding, and we'll lock this thing down. Okay, this could be a little tricky to see, but I'm going to come in here with some super glue gel. Here we go, and okay, whoa, almost pulled that inlay out, but we got some gel in across here underneath on the brace. I want to try to get glue in every place that I can while I can. This isn't always the case where the top is half missing, so we'll try to get what we can right now. If you're wondering why I have blue masking tape on my bad finger, it's because I ripped my fingernail off. So I was out of Band-Aids, and these are just like Band-Aids that come in a roll. They work good. Good times. All right, now we're going to glue that little piece in that broke out, and just going to try to get a little bit of glue in here. Try not to get it on any of the other wood if I can help it. Just a little right there. Okay, that ought to do it. Now, if I can get this lined up right, which is a little tricky with the masking tape on my finger, but we're going to do our best here. Okay, well, I had it. All right. Okay, we're just going to let that lock in right there. All right, I'm just gluing the ends of these braces again. I've already glued them, but, while I'm right here, it's not going to hurt just to put a spot of glue on them, just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Again, I'm using this little small bottle of super glue gel. Came like, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them in a package. The reason I went with those is because they're so small, and it's just easy to get in places that you normally can't reach. Okay, I think we're good to go. We'll get set up. We're going to put the top back on, and hopefully everything lines up nice. I think it's going to close the gap in pretty good. I've also put some super glue here on the underside of the top around the sound hole. There was a bunch of wood that was actually just kind of missing. I think it was probably done when they built it and they just left it like that, but it was really thin and there was quite a bit of wood missing, so I'm just reinforcing that with some glue. All right, let's get the glue out. We're going to use fish glue on this one. Honestly, it's really for the color more than anything. Now, hide glue, when it dries with a dark kind of look to it. You can see the remnants of some right there. And fish glue is a little less dark. It's got more of a clear kind of a look to it, although it does have a little bit of tint. But where we're going to glue this whole seam together, I didn't want a big brown stripe right down the top. Okay, so we got to get some glue underneath the fretboard extension on this half of the top as well. So I'm going to have to get something and kind of wedge that up and see if I can drive some glue down in there as best I can. All right, we're going to take this plastic, it's basically like a scraper, but it's also got a wedged point on it, so I think that might do the job. I'm just going to stick it in between the fretboard extension. Yeah, I got it going the right way, and the top. So, all right, that's what we're looking for. We need that gap right there. Okay, see if we can get that to stay for a second. We'll get our little brush out and put some glue in there. I'll try to wedge that just a little bit more. Now, there's a few ways you could probably do this. You could take like a scraper, a putty knife, and work the glue in that way too. But if you got a pretty good sized gap, you can push that in pretty good with a brush as well. Don't be scared, because you only got one shot at it. Okay, I'm going to work some more in from this side if I can, as best I can. Now, I got to get moving here, because you know what it is. When you get the glue out, it's the real deal. So, fish glue gives you a little bit of work time. Hide glue does too, but to be honest with you, this stuff starts to stick pretty quick. So, you can't dally around. You got to get your game together and have your plan ready. All right, more glue. We're going to go right around the edge here. Put a good coating on. We're also going to need to get the edge of the top here. I'm going to try not to glue the binding down right now. I'm going to do that afterwards. I don't want to try to do too many things at once. It just makes things more complicated, and it takes a lot longer to do it. So, again, you got to dry run this stuff, get your clamps out, get everything ready to go, so there's no surprises when you take the piece that you're going to glue and put it on here. Okay, just going to wipe a little bit of that out as best I can. I'm going to get the top some more here, a little around that side. Okay, now I do need to get some of this fish glue off here, because we have binding that's going to get glued back down there. Okie doke, well, it's time to roll. We got to put this thing together, so here we go. All right, I got to get my clamps out, and we'll get some cork padding around here. I'm going to pinch it together as good as I can up in this area. Where this top is bent slightly for the brake angle, so you get more pressure down on the bridge, I'm probably just going to tape this and clamp it in a few spots to hold it. It really doesn't take a lot to hold that down. There is a mandolin there, trust me. Oh, good golly, sometimes you have to really make some weird clamping systems up as you go, but so basically I've got one squeezing the top together to keep that seam intact, hopefully. And I've got a wedge under the clamp to push down on the top to keep it pushed down on the braces. We've also got a clamp in the back to keep that pushed down and pinched together as well. It's really tough to clamp this with a rounded back, I might add. And then we have one clamp that is pinching the fretboard extension down. I do need to wipe that squeeze out of there. And we have another one back here holding this side of the top clamped to the brace underneath. And masking tape around the edges, which just held the top down there basically until the glue takes up a good bite. All right, I'm going to wipe some of this squeeze out of here. This will come off afterwards, but with a damp cloth, but it works a lot better if you can get the majority of it when it's, oh, my clamp fell off. There you go, folks. We got to reset. Okay, after a 10-minute battle of trying to get the clamp back on, I got something that'll work here. I got that closed in nice and tight. It's tight all the way around. I got most of the glue off. Like I said, try to get it, when you're first doing it. If not, you can use a damp cloth, like I said, with hide glue and fish glue. And that'll take care of it. All right, I need to get away from this thing because I'm scared to death that the clamps will come off. Now, I know you're thinking, well, why don't you just tighten the clamps up? Well, sometimes you have to get things so it just pinches it together. You can't put it too tight because it'll start bending the top or the sides or breaking stuff. So sometimes it's a delicate dance between getting the clamp on just so, enough so it pinches the two parts together, but also enough so it'll stay. Now, when you're working with a rounded back or an arch top or something like that, that really makes things more difficult. And, most of your clamps are just squared on the end, so sometimes you have to make, tapered wedges, double up pieces of cork to fill in, some of the gap, things like that. You get creative real quick. Like I said, always do a dry run before you get your glue out. Well, let's take a peek and see what we got here, folks. This has been sitting for a couple days now. I'm going to have to clean up a bunch of cork stuck to the bridge probably, but that's all right. It happens. I'm just kind of peel some of that off. We'll get a wet cloth and rehydrate that hide glue a little bit, and that'll clean right up. Okay, as you can see, I've got a lot going on the work table here. I just took this out of the go bar deck, and I'm just checking out the alignment on the bridge that we made and installed on here. Let's take a peek, make sure it lines up. Well, what do you know? That looks pretty good. Perfect. We'll be making a deer antler saddle for that very soon. And I'm also going to ream these holes out with a bridge pin reamer and get that ready to go. This one's getting close. Okay, and we haven't left out the Explorer build either. Now, again, these are not the only projects I have going. It's lawn mowing season and all that too, so, you got to do what you got to do. Anyway, I need to sand these pickup rings down and drop them down. They're a little tall, and I also need to anchor the tailpiece here. It's just a matter of drilling 2 holes and putting the anchors in. And pretty much we're going to be ready to go on this one. I got to do a few more little touch-ups on the finish, just around the edges. Put some shellac on those and get this wired up and ready to go. As you can tell, I'm an awful scatterbrain. My next project is going to be cleaning this up today, or most of it. Now, I did get a couple new additions to the shop here. Now, this belongs to my uncle. He picked this up. He was going to sell it, but he told me that, he'd just rather see me use it. So I'm going to, take this and just keep it at the shop. And he told me I could keep it as long as I wanted to. If he ever needs it, then he'll just come get it. Now, this will help me out a lot, looking inside guitars and doing things like that. Let's check it out. Okay, so here's the handheld section. And it's got, I don't know, probably 15 feet of cable on it with a camera on the end of it, and there's also a light. Let's see if I can power it up. Okie doke. Well, you can see the lights on. You can see the screen. Let's stick it inside the guitar. Ooh, some good old hide glue in there. Now that is super handy. Nice clear picture too. It's going to be very useful. Well, thanks Uncle Steve for that. And I will certainly use this a ton. This is going to save me a lot of headache and a lot of guesswork. And very handy tool if you're going to do this kind of stuff. Especially like the mandolin, trying to peek inside there is impossible, but something like this, it's pretty easy. Now, before you ask what brand it is, it does not say, and it does not say on the actual scan tool itself. This is what the box looks like. That's the best I can do. It never ceases to amaze me how much of a mess that I can manufacture on a, I don't know, what is this, maybe a 5x5 table. Unbelievable. But, even working on one instrument, I can generate this kind of mess. But if you got 3 or 4 going at a time, it can get really out of hand fast. So you have to take a day and just stop and fix whatever and clean up the whole shop. I was watching a video on Jimmy D'Acquisto, who was a great luthier and apprenticed under John D'Angelico, some of the finest archtop builders that ever walked the planet. And he said that Mr. D'Angelico would stop all work every Friday and they would completely clean the shop. And that was the whole day. That way they'd be ready to go Monday without a big table that looks like mine. Okay, well, I guess we're going to put a pin in this one for the day. And I also wanted to mention one of the viewers on the channel, one of my friends, goes by the handle Gunslinger. He hasn't been feeling too well. Keep him in your thoughts if you would, folks. I really do appreciate that. I'm sure he will too. Okay, we'll see you guys real soon. Be good. Okie doke.